Okay, so now that we have our ability to store users, let's actually create our signup. We'll go back to our components and we will make our signup component. So let's just add the regular files like we always do, signup.component.jsx and signup.styles.sass. We are importing React from React, and we are going to import our form input because we need our form input, and we also need our custom buttons. And then we also need our auth, as well as our create user profile document from Firebase, because we are creating and authenticating new users. Now, let's bring in our style sheet and create a stateful class, because just like our sign-in, we need to store what the user is typing into our form inputs. So we're going to have our component, and we are going to do this.state is equal to a display name of empty string, email, password, and then confirm password, all of empty strings. That's what the user is going to type in to those fields. Now what we'll do is we will, in our render a div. Oops, we got a return. I'm gonna put this in the return. So we'll have our div that'll have our class name of signup, and inside will be an h2 with the class name of title, and it will say I do not have a account. And then our span will be sign up with your email and password. And then we'll have a form. And just like our sign-in form, it's pretty much going to be very similar, right? Class name, sign up form. And our onSubmit will be this function that we will call handle submit, which we haven't written yet, but we will later. We need form inputs, and we're going to need 4 of them. But for now, for this first one, it will be a type of text, because this will be the display name. Name, display name, value, and then we got to destructure off those 4 values from our state. We need display name, email, password, and confirm password. So the value of pass in will be display name. On change will be a method handle change that we also need to write. And then the label will be display name, and this will be required. So we just need to duplicate this 4 times, except the second type will be email, because inputs have their own email where they require you to have the @ symbol in it in order for it to be a valid email string. This will be email. This will also be email. And the second and third one will be password, and they will automatically hide the actual text as the user types in. And the same for this one. Except we'll call this confirm password. confirm password. Okay. Now, if we are missing, oh, whoops. So we got to make sure that these form inputs are all closing properly. We need our final custom button to be type submit, because we just need to trigger the submit. And then inside, we will say sign up. And now that we have our component, let's just export default sign up. And let's write those functions. Let's start with handle submit. Now, handle submit will be an async function that gets the event. And what we will do is prevent the default submitting, right? We want to prevent the default action of that form submit action. And what we want to do here is we want to do almost the same thing we were doing with our app.js when we had a Google authentication action happen, right? So similar to our app.js, except this time we are manually creating it. So how does that work? Well, first we are going to check if password and the confirm password don't match. Because if they don't match, then we don't want to proceed. So we want to just alert that passwords don't match. Let's just use double quotes here. And then we will return from this whole function, because we don't want to do anything else if their passwords don't match. We want them to fix that. Then we are going to do a try catch block. And inside of our try, we're going to use a new auth method that comes with that auth library. And what we're going to say is we're going to get user, right? We're going to destructure the user off the return of the await for auth.create user with email and password. So this one creates, as we read right there in that little dropdown, creates a new user account associated with the specific email address and password, right? Now, once this is successful, the user gets assigned to our application from the authentication, and then it gives us back a user auth object. But that user auth object is on the key user, which is why we want to do that destructure that way. So create user with email and password, and then we'll pass it the email and password that we have just destructured off our state. Once we get that back, we want to run our create user profile document method with the user and the display name value, which goes in as an object, right? Where the name goes to the value. And then if there's an error, we want to console error the error. So if anything happens in that process, whether it can't fetch it or it can't create it, we want to throw an error. If this succeeds, right, then we want to reset our state. So we're going to await for this to finish. And when it does, then we will run this.setState. And we want to set our state equal to our initial state where everything is empty. And now, after this, we want to write our handle change. And our handle change method is going to look almost identical to our sign-in one. We are just going to destructure off of the event the name and the value from the target. And then we're just going to set state and dynamically set the name value to the value. And this has to be an object. Okay. Now that our sign-up component is finished, let's just apply the styles. So what we'll do is very similar to sign-in. We'll say display flex direction of column, because we want all those elements vertically aligned, right? And then we'll set the width to 380 pixels, And then on the title, we'll set a margin of 10 pixels top bottom and 0 pixels left and right. And now let's bring our sign up component into our sign in and sign up page.